What's good, everybody? What's up, man? This is Stephen Qualls the second, and this is also my lovely co-host. I gotta point this way because I pointed the wrong way last time. So, my lovely co-host.
Ashley Wright the first.
You got to stop.
I love doing it. I
Enough.
want a cool ending.
We are back for another episode of the Wright Quallity podcast. And man, we actually got a lot. We didn't think we had a lot to talk about this week until we started talking about what happened this week. But no, that's a lot to get into. But the first thing we'll start off with is rest in peace to legendary baseball player and really just a human and an activist in general and Hank Aaron. He passed. That would have been what, the 22nd.
Second.
Okay. Yeah, he passed the 22nd, and yeah, it was. I mean, they caught us by surprise. He was also older, so it wasn't so much of a shock thing. But no, losing, losing him is tough just to the sports world. I mean, we know that he broke Babe Ruth's home run record. And doing it at the time that he did it just spoke to a lot of what was going on racially and in regards to social justice at the time as well. So, yeah, what were your thoughts on Hank Aaron, and where do you kind of feel like, what do you feel like his place is just in sports history in general when you talk about historic or monumental athletes? Like for me, he's in the same breath as like Ali, in all honesty, when it comes to like really, monumental athletes, so what are your thoughts?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I think he's in the same boat as like the Muhammad Ali's of the world. Um, Obviously, I didn't grow up watching Hank Aaron, but when he passed yesterday and watching Sports Center, I was kind of able to get a grasp of how important he is to a lot of people. He still owns the home run record. And just being able to break that record in the Deep South, where, like you said, a lot of racial profiling and KKK stuff was going on, yet here's a black man being cheered on because of what he was able to do in a sport that is predominantly white and hasn't welcomed black people for X amount of years. So Hank Aaron is definitely one of the most celebrated and monumental sports figures that we have.
Yeah, most definitely. I like, if I was ever gonna get a baseball jersey, there's few baseball jerseys I would actually get, and Hank Aaron's is one of them. Like I would love to have a Hank Aaron jersey. But yeah, he's I don't know. I think he played for the Milwaukee Braves. So like Milwaukee always has talked about him, mentioned him, respected him. So I've known about him, um, and knew of his importance from early on. But yeah, that was really sad to it was really sad to see him pass. But I mean, as we know, this stuff can come out of nowhere all the time, and I just hope it's not too many, more legends or more historic figures that's taken from us this year. So Lord willing, but yeah, definitely want to start out the show just acknowledging that, and definitely sending prayers out to his family and all of that good stuff. We'll hop into football right now. I think that's just because this is the championship round, championship weekend, and it's a pretty big weekend. I think both of these games will be great. I really feel like they both will be genuinely great games. We got the Bills and the Chiefs. Mahomes has been cleared as of yesterday.
Yep, that's the 22nd.
So he's been cleared, which I think we all knew was going to happen. I don't think, because it didn't seem like a super serious concussion to begin with. I know there are people saying that he really never had a concussion at all. So yeah, I don't know if we've seen a team that the majority of us have been so sure is going to get back to the Super Bowl and repeat. So I think, but oddly, I don't think the Chiefs are facing a lot of pressure. Like in terms of repeating, they haven't been heavily critiqued. Not that there's been a large reason to, but they haven't really been heavily critiqued. I would go on record saying outside of some games they were able to pull out of, they really haven't been like challenged. So it's really interesting to see how smooth, let me say that, how smooth their path back to the Super Bowl, hopefully for them, has been. But we'll see. I'm assuming you taking the Chiefs though, regardless of everything.
I am taking the Chiefs, yes.
I think if you're a smart person, you take the Chiefs off instinct. But like you said, I would not be surprised. One, the Bills pushed them to a final drive or the final play, or if the Bills were to upset. I mean, Josh Allen has been playing incredible. Those wide receivers out there, and I think the defense is really the X factor for the Bills. Because the defense isn't, they're not highly touted, but I mean, obviously, they got them here, so it hasn't solely been their offense. So we'll just see if they got anything to contain, Kansas City's high-powered offense. Nobody really has, although they didn't look stellar against Cleveland. I'll say that. So I don't know if that's more so Cleveland's defense or Kansas City's offense. But well, yeah, we'll see. Well, we would have seen by the time y'all watching this, but yeah, we'll see if they're in the Super Bowl. On the other side, my Packers are back. We're back.
Honestly, I was thinking about this. It's like the AFC has the young quarterbacks, but the NFC has the seasoned, dare I say, oldened quarterbacks.
Uh-oh. Time is ticking. But no, in all honesty, Brady's probably not super close to retirement, but Brady, if I'm Brady, I see two, maybe three. Brady might, if the Bucks win and go to the Super Bowl, and if the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl, Brady might retire. If I was Brady, I would retire.
I would do what Peyton Manning did, and I would retire after this.
If I'm Brady and I won a Super Bowl, I would retire. I could see if they lose, I could see him maybe staying another year. I don't know, because how long is his contract with Tampa?
I think it's a 2-year contract. It's yeah.
I could see him trying to go after it again next season. January 22nd. So, no, okay, here's the thing. So, obviously, who doesn't respect Shaq? It's Shaq. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. Like him and Chuck, they be just going left sometimes, man. Like I don't really know what the goal be. Like obviously, yes, they know what they're talking about. As Shaq will remind you, he has rings, so he can say what he wants to say. He only talks to champions. That's why he doesn't talk to Chuck. But
That's hilarious.
it has me cracking up every time. But it's kind of like his comments to Donovan Mitchell though. He's made comments about other players before, which I typically usually respect. Like if he's talking about a player who wants to leave, or if he's talking about a player that's like considered a superstar and what they need to be doing, like he's usually right. He's usually on point. And I didn't catch the whole segment. I just saw like the snippet of the comment. I don't understand what he was going for. I don't know if he thought saying that was supposed to, I don't know, inspire him or motivate him to keep working hard. But you could literally just say that. Like you could just say keep working, little man. Like I don't know, but
Little man.
but I mean, but to sit there and say basically that you're not as good as you can be, or you're not where you're supposed to be. And mind you, this is only Donovan Mitchell's fourth, fifth year in the league. Like I don't think there aren't that many people that you expect to be superstars by the time they in their fourth and fifth year in the league. If they wasn't projected to be a superstar out of college, what makes you think 4 or 5 years in the league gonna make them a superstar? Like he's blossoming, don't get me wrong, but he's nowhere near a superstar. But he shouldn't be critiqued for that. And I don't think every season he's continued to elevate his game. So I was just really confused as to where the comments came from and why he said it. I don't know if you have more context, but just with the comments in general, it just seemed like he kind of went left with that one to me.
I feel like his comments are being misconstrued. I think the delivery could have been better, but the place that it was coming from is let me motivate you. I think that was Shaq's mindset when telling Donovan Mitchell what he told him.
Right.
With Donovan Mitchell, like you said, this is his fourth year, but with him being the face of the franchise and the star of that team, and in recent years, seeing how far they've been in the playoffs, even with last year in the bubble, his performance in that last game against the Nuggets was spectacular. And I think that's kind of what Shaq is building off of. Hey, I've seen that you have the potential to play like this on a nightly basis. Do it. I think that's kind of what Shaq was trying to do. I don't think that he was coming from a place of hate or trying to get down on him, because like like he says, I have rings. What do I have to hate on this young guy for? I think it was just misconstrued, and his delivery could have been a lot better.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him trying to motivate players, and I definitely see that that's what he was going for. The only reason I'm still kind of confused is Utah's a top three team in the West. Like they literally got the same record as the Clippers. They're half game behind the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, what exactly isn't happening in Utah? Clearly you don't think it's Gobert. Clearly Shaq don't think
hmm
Gobert is the reason they winning. So
But
who?
he came after Gobert too.
Yeah, he been going after a Gobert all season.
Yeah. So that him coming after Gobert and what he said to Gobert, that obviously came from a place of I'm just better than you. But like Donovan Mitchell, him talking to Donovan Mitchell, like him saying I wanted you to hear it, kind of indicates to me that he wants to motivate him. I want you to know that I'm trying to get you to this next level.
For sure. I think that. And it's so here's the thing. When they be arguing, Chuck be making hella good points, but Shaq be trying to overtalk him. So obviously Shaq is the most dominant player of all time. But I think let me not say Shaq tries to downplay, but I think if we're gonna look at the whole grand scheme of like that Laker time era and generation, yes, Shaq always showed up when you needed him. But Shaq never seemed to be the guy that was carrying you alone to a championship. And that's not to take away anything from how dominant he was, how he could affect the game, none of that. What I'm saying is it was very easy for Shaq to be Shaq when he needed to be Shaq when you had Kobe being Kobe 24/7. That's all I'm saying. And I feel like it doesn't mean Shaq doesn't have the right to say things about other players. But it's just like I kind of feel like, oh, brother, got a lot of dip on your chip. You just out here just motivating people. But brother, you need to be motivated to lose weight throughout the regular season to be ready for the playoffs. So come on now, let's not be hypocritical of these players too much. But no, nonetheless, I no, I take what you're saying, and I think that's obviously his intention, and I think Donovan's going to respond anyway. So it'll be interesting to see. I just think that with their platform, I don't think they can't be naive to delivery. Like yes, you're a champion. Yes, you can say whatever you want to say, but you have a platform. Like you have a talking platform that's respected. So if you want to say something, just make sure you're communicating that as best as possible and not trying to get it misconstrued. So don't
Yeah.
sit there and say you're not as good as you can be. And I just want you to hear it. Even for us that may understand, because it's not like constructive criticism can be received. And when you hear a lot of players in the league, if you're not a Bron, if you're not a KD, a lot of players in the league were told they weren't going to be this good or told they needed to be better. A lot of people in the league heard that. So hearing it from older players or sportscasters don't change anything. And it just still kind of speaks to the notion of like, granted, the difference and the reason Shaq and them in the show is so important, three of y'all are players.
Right.
So it's like, obviously, the opinions are not just from, even with all the experience of just sportscasting, being around the game, like they actually played. So it's more respected. And even more so, that's why I feel like just just find a way to say it and get your point across without making it seem like, oh, I can say what I want to say no matter how it come across, and they just need to accept it. Because
Yeah, and like not trying to make excuses, but obviously Shaq and Charles come from that era where like trash talk was prominent. They were able to say whatever they wanted to say without having to stop and think before it came out. And I think that's what Shaq definitely did.
quick side note. So I didn't go listen, I didn't care to, but I heard that Karl Malone, of all people,
Yeah.
something to say about Zion. Sir, sir, I don't care if you're one of the greatest power forwards of all time. You don't get to speak on anything. You don't get to speak on any player. You don't get to speak on anything at all whatsoever. So there's that. I don't want to hear anything from you about anybody. But that blew me. I was like, Karl Malone said this about who? I was like, yeah, he needs to go sit down somewhere. I really, but but yeah, no. So they got to do better with that. But at the end of the day, I think players being pushed and motivated should always continuously be a thing. But they have the platform where they just got to make sure that doesn't get misconstrued. That they can control that. Yeah, but moving the needle. Talk about Brooklyn. Again, I feel like we're gonna talk about Brooklyn at least once every week because it's gonna always be a story there. So their first two games, I mean, my God. I mean, good Lord. I don't like
I don't have any excuses for them. I want to say in the second game against Cleveland they didn't have KD, but that should not matter.
I shouldn't and my I'm more intrigued by this. So Harden's first game was against Orlando.
Yes.
They won by two. Harden had a triple double, KD went for 40. Their second game was against Milwaukee. Again, they win by two. Harden has another triple double, and I think KD had 30 something.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Cleveland and Kyrie returns. First
Oh,
off,
Lord.
let's quickly touch on Kyrie saying he just needed a pause. I truly hope that if something is going on in Kyrie's personal life, that he is fine. However, I do feel like it's kind of the same way with PG. It's like acknowledging it is great, and I'm glad that you don't have shame in letting it be known that you were dealing with something or needed to take a break. But at the same time, this is your job. Like just like if somebody had to call off sick, like eventually they got to go back to work. So it's like there's still a certain professionalism, and I'm not saying Kyrie was to the extreme of unprofessionalism, but it's like, okay, you needed a pause, whatever, cool. But like, you should be in communication with your team. They should know what's going on. Like, you shouldn't just be off the grid. Like, and then in the press conference, he looked like hella sad, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, is everything okay? Like for real? Because what's going on? I do believe he's somebody that when it comes to the court, like that's gonna always be natural for him. But yeah, so back to the game. I don't know why this game was close. I don't. I really don't. I know they were trying to figure some things out. Brooklyn's best bet is you can start all three. You should perfectly fine, right? And I think Nash is gonna end up doing this anyway. You start all three of them. Harden should be your primary ball handler. Simple as that. I think that should be a given. Whenever you take Harden or KD out in the first quarter, that's when you give Kyrie the ball, and Kyrie needs to be heading that second unit. One, they need to get more on that second unit before
Yes, they do.
yeah, so in that game, the biggest thing from that game is that all three of them played over 40 minutes. It was a double OT game, but that's insane. There's no reason all three of them should have to log that many minutes in the
And
game
still lose.
and still lose. Like it doesn't make sense. Obviously a lot of that had to do with Colin Sexton. Straight on them boys. I was watching that live. My God, I'm like, this is insane. On all three of them, had buckets on all three of them too. So he was definitely giving it to them. But to lose that game and lose it close, and then to turn around and lose the back-to-back as well and lose that by 12, it's just like y'all got some things to figure out, which we all knew, but really, how are all three of y'all going to work? And it's like, they are not, the chemistry is not there for y'all to just up, y'all game with competition. Like naturally, y'all would probably rise to the occasion. But if y'all not closing out these games, when they really only got one go-to player, one killer, what you gonna do? Like they barely beat Milwaukee. Right. I don't see you beating a team like either LA team. I don't know how you gonna beat a Philly playing like that. You and DeAndre Jordan is not guarding Joel Embiid
at all. That's what they say, barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken, just barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken. So, but they got to figure that out. And it's gonna take some time, but they need to be careful of who they get first round, because I don't know how scary y'all are unless that chemistry just starts, clicking like insane. Y'all are gonna get Milwaukee, Philly, or Indy, and as a first round series, if y'all continue to drop or stay in this bottom four, that's gonna be tough. Y'all gonna be fighting the entire way. And I'm saying all that to say that if y'all got people playing 40 plus minutes. Y'all got y'all starting playing 40 plus minutes. Y'all not gonna be the LA team. They too deep. You not like it's not gonna happen. I don't like. Yeah, y'all professional athletes, but y'all gonna burn out. Y'all gonna burn out. But yeah, give me your thoughts on Brooklyn, either those two games specifically, or just where you kind of feel like the direction is that they need to head in.
Yeah, I hate to sound like I'm recanting my statement. Last episode, I said if they're in the eighth seed and they play Philadelphia, and they play Philadelphia, that's not a problem. I'm not scared of Philly, and I have this big three. But now it's like y'all not playing any defense. Obviously, they can score. They can score, but defensively, you have to put together some stops. Like whatever team you play is a professional basketball team, so they can score with you if you're not stopping them,
Yeah.
and that will be like their Achilles heel if they don't learn how to gel defensively. It's no reason. Okay, I don't want this to be misconstrued. Colin Sexton is good. Like he's really, 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 really good.
He's really good.
But there is no reason he should be dropping buckets on all three of them.
42. And then he dropped 20 in the last between the OTs and the regulation. 20 straight.
Yeah.
Nobody else. I don't even know
Nope.
if anybody else touched the ball.
Oh.
I'm sitting here like, yo, he cooking y'all like this. Like again. Colin Sexton's having a breakout year. He's an amazing player, an amazing
Yes.
talent. What? No, no. There's no reason he went for 42. Oh, like on y'all. This was not like y'all fouled out. He was killing the second unit. Like he hitting shots on y'all. What's going on? What's happening? You know, like
Defense.
at any given night, anybody can go for 40 on y'all. Basically, that's what you're saying.
That's the message that's being delivered.
And so who they need? Who can they go get? Because they're at best 7 deep, and I feel like that's stretching it.
Right. They, I don't know, but they need role players. They need a bench, and they need a bench quick. Dinwiddie is out for the season. He tore his ACL. So
Ooh,
you're not getting him back. So, and then, ooh, oh my goodness, Joe Harris getting humiliated. Y'all just need something. They need something.
Look, I love Joe Harris, great 3-point specialist, but you need more. Like
Yeah,
you need an X factor off the bench that they do not have. If they start Joe Harris, which I think they
they
do,
do.
do
Yeah.
they start DJ? Do they start Green? I know
They
Green
start. They started Jeff Green. I don't know if recently DeAndre started starting.
because no. So on top of that, then your starting lineup is small. So
Mhm.
now, on top of being small, you're not playing no D. So it's just like, what are you gaining? Like, what are y'all doing? I think they're going to make a move. They're going to have to. Like, they're going to have to make something shake if they really want to continue. You're not. If they don't make a move, they're not getting out the East.
No.
I'm sorry. Like, because they're not. You're not going to be able to outscore teams for 4 games 3 times. It's not. It's not going to happen. You're not going to outscore teams. Any of these teams for 4 games in a 7-game series. I don't see it.
Especially when those other teams play defense. Like
Right.
Philadelphia plays some decent defense. So
Yeah, Brooklyn has it tough, but I mean it is still very early. You know, they are still figuring it out. We'll see, but they're in danger if they don't make a move. Because the trade deadline is what this season. I know it's changing. I don't know when it is. It's probably sometime in late February or March. But
yeah.
they need to make some shake. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's Brooklyn. But lastly, this was a developing situation from I think like early this past week. But Kevin Porter Jr. The report started that Cleveland was looking to move him after an outburst in the locker room. Then we later found out that that outburst was due to basically the organization giving Torian Prince, who came over from the trade in Brooklyn, to giving him uh, Kevin Porter Jr.'s locker. Um, and there, I guess there was food thrown and
Yeah.
and things of that nature. Um, and now he's in Houston. He hadn't been playing for personal reasons. Um, what's your take on the situation? I mean, I feel like it's one of those situations that clearly I don't think everything is being put out there as expected. But how do you think Or what do you think of how the situation was handled?
Ooh, it was real ghetto.
That's the exact word you used. I said this.
Real ghetto. Like you throwing food, and he not the first person to throw food. J.R. Smith threw food in that locker room. So it's like, what is going on in that front office where players just feel like they need to have a food fight? Like
There's something
I,
about the locker room, man. I don't know.
I don't understand. And then for Kevin Porter Jr., yeah, he hasn't spent a lot of time in the league, but I've been here. So for you to give my locker away, I'm not saying that his actions were justified. Maybe go talk to who gave your locker away. Don't throw food. But I I guess I can see why he felt disrespected. I don't see why he went about it the way he went about it, but I can see why he was upset.
Yeah, my homie brought it up, and he mentioned a decent point, and we talked about this. He mentioned how obviously these players, these young black men come into the league, 19, 20, um, barely really knowing themselves, barely knowing how to navigate in the world, and they have to deal with these things professionally. It's a business at the end of the day. But he was mentioning how he already not playing for personal reasons, whatever those reasons may be. So he was saying basically it should be the organization's responsibility to try to not trigger anything, to try to know the player well enough to not trigger an outburst like this. And so me and one of my other homies' response was that regardless of that, he still has to be a professional, Kevin Porter Jr. So even if you are upset about the locker, it don't mean you don't have a right to be upset or go talk to somebody, but to have an outburst, to throw food, to get into it with the GM, like that stuff, it's not going to bode well for you, especially being a young player. So there's a part of you that has to just figure out how to navigate that. I said the situation being messed up, I can attest to that. I think it's messed up that a good player that seemed to fit well with the young players that were there, you're going to ship out now. But at, it's still a business. Like it sucks because you have to acknowledge that players at that age, and when we're talking about specifically like young black men, they come into that league, there's a lot they still need to be taught. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, you also can't coddle them. You don't have time to. But that would be really with any job. Like when you start working, there's only so much you can kind of be, sheltered or pushed or coddled until you got to figure these things out for yourself. And in the league, I mean, I think it's been documented that yeah, Cleveland doesn't have a lot of veterans over there, and if they are, they're not veterans that are like actively playing and maybe actively kind of in the mix. You look at Kevin Love kind of being in and out. Drummond could be considered a vet, but Drummond doesn't seem like the outspoken type. So I can see where maybe you don't have veterans kind of teaching him day to day, but all in all, it's kind of slippery slope there because it's like you feel for him and you feel the fact that he's not maybe being handled correctly, but then at the same time, it's like you didn't help. It'd be different if you went to the GM and then it came out that like they was on some BS with you or they said this to you. That's one thing. But with your response being the outburst and the throwing food, I don't know why we keep going throwing back the food, but that's just ghetto. Like it's ghetto. It's hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think it's a messed up situation. I hope Houston works out, or I hope whatever the personal reason was that he wasn't playing, that he can get back on the court because he do can ball. So that he needs to be on the court. But that's we've seen organizations mishandle players like that a lot. I mean, Cleveland in general has a horrible history of handling their players. So yeah, real unfortunate. Any last thoughts on that situation?
No, that was it. You touched on everything. I like the point that your friend made about these kids coming in 19, 20. I'm saying kids like I'm not their age, but 19, 20-year olds coming in and, the organization kind of taking on the responsibility of, and I think, that's a really good point. But like you said, there's also a sense of professionalism. You're now a professional in the sport that you play. You have to carry yourself in a certain way. Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely tough. Definitely a slippery slope. That has been, man. It's been another episode of the Right Quality Podcast. Man, this was fun. Feel like we touched a lot of good things. Excited to see who will be in the Super Bowl by the time y'all are watching this. We're gonna try to get the episode for the Super Bowl out before that actual time, just so we can actually be on time with that for a change. But yeah, man. Any parting words, last thoughts for the
Um,
people?
for the people, if there's anything you want us to talk about, comment on our page, TWQ Podcast, on Instagram and Twitter.
That. Last question: who are you? Start, bench, cut. Colin Sexton, De'Aaron Fox, Trae Young.
Oh, starting Trey Young, benching Colin the way he's been playing, and I am cutting.
Cutting,
Forgot the last guy.
you
Yeah,
cutting
I'm cutting
Fox?
De'Aaron. Yeah.
I might have to cut Sexton.
I don't know. We just talked about him dropping 40.
I know, right? But like,
And this is the same guy who also was giving buckets to, I think it was Minnesota in college when Alabama only had like 3 players on the court.
was
Yeah, young bull different.
you make it, you make it. Okay. Well, we are signing off. So until next week, until next Monday, make sure you go to the page. Make sure you check out what's right. Make sure you check out quality control. Check out all that good jazz, man. We got a lot of good stuff coming to you. And yeah, we will see y'all next week. Until then, peace.